Getting ready.
Jim, there wasn't any language,
I don't know what happened. The computer had a bad day.
but all we were doing was cutting it, If you, and I put it on the agenda that you would explain it.
Yeah, that's something, next time just call my secretary. Something happened, that part.
Well, I'd already sent the agendas out and everything, but I figured it was such a minor change and it's law.
Yeah, it's easy. We'll just explain what the language is trying to say, but somehow the computer
Hiccups.
didn't spit it out.
That's why I avoided it.
Gets his hair cut and said it was his hair.
Didn't figured he was just going to explain it.
There we go. Welcome to the City of Nevada City Council meeting for Monday, June 10th, 2002. Will you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let the record show that all council members are here and present. And first item is the approval of the minutes. I have a correction. It says Mayor Arnett,
Oh,
and
where?
the very first sentence, the meeting was called to order by Mayor Arnett, and it should be Mayor...
Maybe you were
Mayor me.
May have done it.
You never can. Old habits are hard to break.
Got Mayor McKay on the next line. What do you want?
Comments on the...
I would move to approve as corrected.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. Department report, city engineer, update rebuilding progress on the North Pine Street fire.
Mayor, the project is due to begin officially next week with the footings and foundation work. The footings have given it quite a challenge as a result of the subsoil that we encountered. Conley may have some more. Other than that, I think we're kind of progressing well, and I see no reason why we won't be moving right along now. Conley?
The only thing I have to add is the designers, the architect, and the owners, through some very careful study, have been able to generate a new mezzanine space inside the building, so they will generate an additional 3,000 square feet of usable, rentable space up on the upper floor. And that will help everybody recover from financial problems. So it's without changing the exterior of the building with 1 inch.
Or the height either.
Or the height or anything, yeah, just creating a mezzanine space inside. So that's a very good development.
You gained 3,300.
3,300 square foot gain, yeah.
That's not it. Anything else? Okay. Police Department, monthly report. We have anything from Blue? Didn't see anything in our packet.
Yeah, I didn't have one in the packet.
Okay. Nothing. All right. Fire Department. Any report from Fire Department? Greg? Nothing? Okay. Any questions from Greg? From anyone here? No? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. All right, committee reports. Kind of the same stuff. Steve, do you have anything to report?
Not this time. I anticipate the next meeting I probably will.
How did that go with the painting the little wall?
Yeah, well, I think we got a lot of good publicity on that. That was a great thing, the hands-on. I went down on Friday after the children's parade, and that was a good turnout. So it looks real nice. And as been indicated tonight, we're getting to that pivotal moment where things start going the other direction. And it starts to go back up again. That'll be a big day. So I would anticipate the next meeting I'll have a report on a couple of items relative to the reconstruction.
Okay, anything further from you, Conley? No. Okay. And now, so hearing from the public. Comment on items not on the agenda are welcome at this time. However, action or discussion by the council may not occur at this time. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone wishing to speak on anything not on the agenda at this time? Okay, seeing none, close public comment. Correspondence. Kathy?
Mayor and council, we had one item of correspondence that was in at the time the packet was prepared, and that is from AT&T Broadband, which is our cable TV service, and it's kind of more of the same of what we've been getting, miscellaneous changes to their service charges, returning a box and getting what the different equipment you get, and some changes, slight increases to those. And then we had just an item of, I'm not sure if it's an item of correspondence or what, that came in from the chairman of the Planning Commission today, which is a proposed letter that would go out to some property owners. So I've placed that on the table in front of you. And a letter from also that came in late this afternoon, faxed in from Abigail Gibbons, dealing with 407 Old Downieville, and that's on your agenda later.
All right. Old business. First item, review of 407 Old Downieville Highway. Approval with allowance for use of septic system. This item was requested by Councilman Weaver. Jim, you want to give us a...
Well, as you recall, we met in closed session last time. We continued at this time for another closed session so that you could talk to Bill, as he was absent last time. And as far as the tolling agreement itself, whether you want to meet in closed session first and then talk about it, or talk about it now, basically there's a statute of limitations issue here. It's a complex situation procedurally, so it's hard to know what the statute of limitations would actually be. But there's a chance there's only a 90-day statute of limitations. So the Simborgs, through their attorney, are saying negotiations might take longer than that. We don't want to lose our rights while we're talking to you about trying to avoid a lawsuit. So they've asked us to agree to basically extend the statute of limitations for a period of 6 months while we negotiate. And if we don't, I would expect they'd probably file a lawsuit within the next week or so, just to protect their rights.
At this point, you don't have an opinion relative to the ability, the comments by Ms. Gibbons?
Oh, by Ms. Gibbons, my research on this, and Bill can speak up whenever he feels like it, or if he feels like it, but basically this is a situation where back around 1989, the county gave 2 septic permits to this property out on Old Downieville Highway. The permits, as best I could tell, back in the early 90s still appeared to be good. And at that point, I had written a letter, I think sometime in 1993, indicating that it was okay. They had permits. I believe they'd already actually constructed the septic system at the time I wrote the letter. And so I simply indicated, yes, you've got permits and you can use them. Then a series of events took place, basically where they applied for a conditional use permit, a variance to construct the homes because of the steep slopes. There, we went through a long process of negotiating with the Simborgs on the basis that if they were going to go ahead and build out there, when we extended the sewer, we expected them to hook up. There were some negotiations back and forth, and at one point they finally said, okay, once you extend the sewer line out to where we are, we'll hook up, pay the hookup charges, and we'll pay our share to extend the line out there when it happens. So on that basis, the city signed a contract with them. They placed a fairly sizable sum of money in trust with the city to pay for their share of the costs. And then at that point, the city granted the variances. Bill, I think you can speak better than I can, but basically the city did go ahead and approved 2 buildings being there, one about 1,500 square feet, one about 3,300 square feet. The smaller one was built, and the larger one is the one they're talking about building at this time. They came in and got an extension of time because their conditional use permit was running out, and their variance application was running out. So they came in, they got an extension of time, a 2-year extension. The letter that's written is one of those written at the early part of the year, and it's misdated. It says one date when it's actually another date. And so based on the 2-year extension that was given, actually their time would be actually May 27th of 2003. Because of the misdate of the letter, it says we thought it was May 27th of 2002. So that's the issue. Now, some argument could be made that our ordinance only allows 1-year extension at a time. It's not crystal clear what a judge would do with the language as it is. It's possible that it's only 1-year extension is maximum, but you could read it a couple of different ways. And the problem is, of course, the permit was granted, the extension was granted, no one appealed. So I'm not sure, even if we could convince a judge that that only a 1-year extension could be granted, where there was a 2-year and nobody appealed, I'm not sure where we would be legally. So at this point, that seems to be the situation. I think Bill can comment on the plans themselves. He actually looked at the plans.
If we're going to go into executive, I don't have anything to say. I mean, he kind of gave us an overview.
Are we going to go into executive
There's
session?
a couple
Or are we
of
gonna-
facts here that we need to clear up. I don't know if we want to do that.
Well, I think we need to go into executive session because we need to talk about the fact that their attorney has made it pretty clear that they intend to file a lawsuit if they're prevented from going ahead with their construction. And so that we need to be able to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of our case. And I need to be fairly frank, which I don't want to do in open session, since obviously the other attorneys can easily just get the minutes, listen to the tape, and hear exactly what I've got to advise the council.
Are you suggesting we do that now and come back, or that we do it under the closed session that's listed?
I'm fine with doing the closed session and coming back and taking care of it after that, rather than break now and break up the meeting.
And at what point would we have any public comment or notice to the public or anything? I mean, if there's people that want to speak to this.
If they want to speak to the tolling agreement or the other issues involved, that's fine if they want to speak now.
Issues were raised in this letter by Abigail Gibbons.
Right.
So what if they're similar non-resident?
I think it's fine if she wants to say anything additional or anybody else does, but I think we need to go into closed session. Probably best to go in at the end of the evening rather than break up the meeting at this
So
point.
can we take that comment now from those people?
And if there are people who are interested in this topic, and although I don't think this meeting is going to take a long time, would you anticipate some kind of an announcement?
Probably the only announcement would be is that we've agreed to enter the tolling agreement. Otherwise, I don't expect an announcement, but there's a possibility depending on what the council comes up with.
Okay, at this, what do you want?
I had a question. You know, we have item on the agenda to discuss the proposed tolling agreement and the matter of old business, not in the closed session. Is there any reason why we can't discuss that?
That's fine. I think it's pretty clear. What I said was basically they will probably file suit very soon if we don't agree to it, just because they're worried about their statute of limitations is a very short one. They'll lose their rights.
Okay, well, I have a couple of questions. Number one, when you talk about statute of limitations, what is the statute supposedly applying to? What's the trigger? What phase of this does the so-called statute apply to?
Well, that's why I said it's confusing, because depending on how you look at this, you're going to get various statute of limitations. What they don't want to be in a position is that obviously if I went to court on behalf of the city, I would be trying to categorize this in a certain way to give us the shortest statute of limitations possible in order to throw out the case. They don't want to have to run that gauntlet, because you could look at this various ways. You could say that nothing's even happened yet. There is no statute of limitations running. But you could also say, well, yes, there was. The 27th came, and we took a position that we had written a letter before we'd done more work and said, looks like 27th's the drop dead date. It's possible to look at it and say, well, the staff and the city took a position on the 27th, and the 90 days runs from there. I doubt it. My guess is they've got much longer statute of limitations than 90 days, but they don't want to take that chance of losing on a technicality.
And this thing is so involved with so many different aspects. It seems to me there could be all kinds of different statutes of limitations applying to different approvals or not approvals or authorizations and everything else. So I don't see how we can be talking about agreeing to any kind of a relief from any statute of limitation. We don't even know what we're talking about.
Well, we're not...
Plus, there may be other ones come up as things proceed. There may be other things identified that have statutes applying to them. So I don't see how...
what this agreement's basically saying is, whatever the statute of limitations turns out to be, let's say it's 90 days, that in effect it'll be 90 days plus the extension we're agreeing to. If it turns out to be a year, then it'll be a year plus. So we're not waiving any statute of limitations, but we're agreeing that we'll give an extension. And we don't have to, obviously. We can just say no, and then they'll probably file suit early, and then we'll deal with it from there.
And what body sets any statute of limitations?
That's written up in the law. The problem is this is not your usual case, so you can argue many different statute of limitations, and the court would ultimately have to decide, yes, this is the statute of limitations, or as you pointed out, there might be one statute of limitations for part of the case and another one for another part. So, at this point, you can argue anything from 9 months or 90 days on up to a couple of years. Which one it would turn out to be, who knows, until you litigate it and get a decision. They don't want to take that chance that it turns out to be 90 days and they lost because they waited too long.
The law sets all these statutes, and just any party to any litigation can waive any of those as they so choose?
Right, you can waive them if you want to. Otherwise, if you don't waive them, the judge just calls it the way he sees it, and that's the result.
That clears some things in my mind.
All right, we'll open up public comment at this time on this item.
Lee Pemberton, 16414 Queen Lil Place. I can appreciate Mr. Anderson's dilemma with trying to explain it, but the one simple fact is that the city made a determination in 1991 not to allow any further septic systems within the city limits. This is now 2002. You're talking about a set of plans that were filed with the previous landowner in 1989. You're talking about a letter from the city attorney to landowners in 1993 that was even after the city had made the determination not to allow additional septic systems. You're still talking about a system that's on the side of a hill running into Deer Creek. Those are basic facts. And I just hope that you bear those in mind when you deliberate this. But many years ago, you made the decision not to allow any more septic systems to be allowed within the city limits. And it seems like whatever statute of limitations that could be construed as being relevant to this particular case is not going to last this many years. And all a tolling agreement does is suspend something. You made the decision, or your predecessor made a decision, and I think from a health and safety standpoint, it's a good decision, particularly in the Deer Creek drainage, that this septic system not be allowed. They have the alternative of hooking up to a sewage extension at some time, or financing one of their own. So I would wholeheartedly recommend that you deny this application. Thank you.
Jaylon Cooper, 524 East Broad Street. Good evening. I think the first thing that the city attorney said this evening about this agenda item was that it involved some complex issues, and I think it's never prudent to, when you have complex issues, to feel like you're rushed into making a decision on something. And it kind of seems like that's what's going on tonight under the gun of this imminent threat of litigation. And I have a couple of questions I'd like to pose to the city attorney. One, what is the basis for your conclusion that litigation is imminent?
I've been sent a letter from Mr. Billheimer stating they're going to sue us.
What's the date of that letter?
It was about 2 weeks ago.
Okay. They're going to sue you unless what occurs?
Unless we allow them to build the house as approved.
Well, you know, this case, from my research and that of others, has kind of a checkered past. And I hate to see the city buckle under to that kind of bullying by someone who really, from what I can see of the history of this, hasn't really followed procedure properly, certainly not to the letter of the law. And for us to just give in to that sets a very, very, I think, undesirable precedent for the city to actually invite further violation of law, if not more litigation. You know, my understanding is the law in 91, through resolution 91-25, basically made it clear that we're not accepting any new houses unless they're hooked into our sewer system. We're not accepting septic systems. And as Mr. Pemberton said, it's 11 years later, and we're finding a way to allow, it seems to me, contravention of that resolution, which is pretty well established. I'm not sure what basis that has legally, unless you're trying to grandfather in some previous agreement, which is nebulous to me right now. I don't know what it is. But that law is very clear. It's been on the books for 11 years. And if you want to follow the letter of the law, you want to honor due process, you care about respect for the law in this community, to give in to this kind of bullying, which is clearly against what the policy is in this town now. We don't do this. We do not allow septics to hook up, not to mention its proximity to Deer Creek. And in 1999, Friends of Deer Creek, through John Vanderveen, made it very clear they were extremely concerned about the proximity to Deer Creek and what pollution problems that could present. So, you know, there are a lot of factors here. You know it's a complex issue. I think it requires a little more attention as to not only the past history, but what the current law is. And so, you know, I'm not clear. In 1999, May of 1999, there was a basically Planning Commission approval of building 2 units with temporary use of a septic system. What does that mean? How long is temporary? How long is that going to be allowed? We're not clear on this. I think there's a lot of uncertainties, and that takes me to the actual tolling agreement itself. And I think it's not my specialty of law, admittedly. And well, let's take a look at the tolling agreement. I think, as Mr. Weaver pointed out, if you're going to submit a tolling agreement regarding a statute of limitations, don't you think it would be advisable to identify specifically the specific statute that you're referring to? What statute of limitations are we talking about? Because if we don't do that, we don't know whether it's 90 days, as you've indicated, possibly, or 2 years. And I don't know what the authority is for a 90-day statute of limitations. Maybe you can clarify that, Mr. Anderson, because I'm not aware of a 90-day statute of limitations.
There are on various
No,
land
this
use...
particular situation, where would there be a 90-day?
It's a land use application. A lot of times there's 90-day limitations. As I've indicated, I doubt it's 90 days. I think it's longer, but it could be. I could certainly make a decent argument to a judge it's 90 days.
What would be the authority for a 90-day statute of limitations?
Basically, on a lot of land use applications, you've got 90 days to challenge.
Okay. Is there a particular statute that sets out 90 days as a statute of limitations?
Yes, there is.
Do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
Well, I think we ought to know what that is, and I think we ought to know which statute of limitations is applicable to this situation, because the city's really putting itself in a position of kind of giving away the store in a situation where there's already been questionable, I think, following of proper procedure, and to just, continue that under the gun of possible litigation, I just find that not satisfactory. I think our city representatives need to find out what the law is, find out what the history of this case is, and act appropriately. As far as whether we have a one-year extension from 5/27/2001 or a two-year extension, we don't seem to know that, and I don't know why we don't know that.
It says 2 years.
And why is it two as opposed to one? I think you've indicated it could be one.
The statute could be read as saying only one at a time, but the extension is clearly 2 years. It's just the letter's misdated, so it looks like it ends May 27, 2002, when it's really May 27, 2003.
And the letter is misdated. Is there a received stamp on the letter from City Hall?
It's a letter we sent out.
Okay.
The date is one that was sent the first of the year, so it says 2000 when it's really 2001.
And that was a letter written by...
Ruth Poulter.
I see.
When you look at the body of the letter, it's real clear there's a mistake.
Okay, well, to me it seems as though, and I may be wrong, there are enough questions of fact and of law in this particular agenda item that if you all feel comfortable with, under the gun of possible litigation, rushing into this, that's up to you, obviously, but I don't think it's well advised. And I don't think that the tolling agreement provides a clear, I mean, you're signing on to this thing. I don't think it provides a clear reference to a statute of limitations. As Mr. Weaver said, what time period, when does that begin? What are we talking about? We know they want to exclude a 6-month period where they can negotiate, and clearly the issues that they're negotiating aren't clarified in this agreement. I think maybe they ought to be, because there's some questionable procedure in the history of this case, or this application. So, with all of those questions that are, I don't think anybody's disputing that they exist, why rush into this just because the city might get sued? I think if the other party had, if there was a history in this case of following the law to the letter of the law, and the city felt that had been the case, that'd be one thing, but it's your job as city attorney, Mr. Anderson, to assess the weaknesses or strengths of a case in terms of litigation, and there's certainly enough questions here that I would wonder why you would advise the city to rush into to an agreement that even on its face doesn't have the details it should. I thank you for your consideration.
Any further comment on this item from the public? If not, I'll close public comment. Discussion at the table.
Well, as
I thought we weren't going to discuss until we'd had this executive session.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. I understood that.
Thank you.
We were taking the comment only.
Okay, that's fine. All right, move on to item number 2, lot number 15, Chief Kelly Drive, appeal of Planning Commission decision denying construction of approximately 2,300 square foot single-family home with approximately 600 square feet attached garage, approximately 600 square feet attached carriage house, and approximately 800 square feet of porch. Note that this item was continued to allow the city attorney to prepare findings. There will be no public input on this issue.
David, if I could, before I did discuss this briefly with the city attorney before the meeting. I have met with some of the property owners, and the relevant property owner who arrived from out of town just after the meeting started. I would respectfully request 3 minutes to confer with Mr. Nielsen before I make my report.
So you want us to take a recess?
Just 3 minutes, all I need.
Okay.
He came from out of town, so he wasn't here before 7.
Is that agreeable to the rest of the council?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Do it. Yeah. It's
Okay.
do it. Yeah. It's over. I did it. If you'll recall at the last meeting, although it was not part of the motion that I was to meet with the property owners, the indication was that I would try to organize a meeting with as many as I could. And I think Jim's closing words at the last meeting were that you could hear whatever I've got to say and move on from there however you wish. I met with 8 property owners representing 11 of the 20 lots all at one time, and it was a great meeting, and in fact some of them met each other for the first time, so it was time well spent. We spent about an hour and a half, although the item on the agenda is specifically Mr. Nielsen's house. Mr. Nielsen has a compromise that he is agreeable to, that he would hope that with support of the council, that he could return to the Planning Commission with his compromise, and that the motion that's pending on findings would not be necessary tonight. Mr. Nielsen's compromise offer is to detach the 2-car garage, the carriage house as is described in the application, to detach that 2-car carriage house without a connecting breezeway back to the main house, and by doing so create the home with a 2-car detached garage, a look that apparently the majority of the council supported. The commission, as you may recall, was 2-2, so there was no opinion of the commission because it was 2-2. But there was certainly, it seemed that in this body, a need for a detached garage. So Mr. Nielsen has offered that as a compromise and would like to return to the Planning Commission so that they could address the architectural review aspect of the detached 2-car garage.
While still maintaining the other garage.
That is correct. This is what we would call a two-way compromise. Mr. Nielsen, who prefers to have all 4 garage stalls attached, has agreed to detach 2, and the majority of the city council, wishing not to have any attached, would be agreeing to 2. And it would seem like a fair compromise, and certainly visually, the look of that property would be one of a private residence with a detached garage. And if the council would agree to that, then I would hope there'd be no need to proceed with findings of denial.
Excuse me, Jim. Couldn't the appellant just withdraw his appeal?
He could certainly withdraw his appeal and then just go back and file a new application. If he was turned down, he would then appeal back to here. Or I suppose it sounds like maybe they're asking for a decision that two garages attached and 2 unattached would be acceptable to the council, and the council's saying it back to the Planning Commission on that basis. I'm not sure.
That is exactly the basis, yes.
Right, so they're asking for a decision. The only thing I would say about that is the council's inclined to go that way. I think the public was led to believe that the decision was going to occur tonight with no further testimony, so people may not have come here prepared to testify, or maybe not come at all. So if you're inclined to do the second one, I think we ought to continue this for 2 weeks and with a notice so that people who wanted to be here and but thought there was no comment could come back and give their comment to this proposal.
I think we have to put this back into a little perspective. Mr. Nielsen has appealed to the City Council the decision of the Planning Commission to deny his project. And the Planning Commission denied his project for various reasons, one of the major ones being the detached or non-detached garage problem. think the only proper thing for this body to do is if Mr. Nielsen wants to change his proposal, then it would be proper for him to just withdraw his appeal to this body and go back to the planning commission in that way. The second alternative to me would be, the only thing this body could do would be to deny his appeal. And at that point, then he can go back to the planning commission with whatever revisions, compromise, or whatever you want to call it. I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I feel that if we were to approve the compromise, we would be, in effect, somewhat tying the planning commission's hands. And I don't know that that's the proper way to start out something that's coming back again for a look-see.
Yeah, to have us pre-agree on something that we're going to, we're going to give a decision, and yet it's still going to go back to the planning commission. So whatever the planning commission decides, it's kind of moot because we've preempted that, and it doesn't seem. I think it's good that there has been this effort to work it out, but there's already procedures, as Conley has suggested, that would lead to that same thing through proper channels. And I agree that, as Jim said, that we've got to be careful here because we were going to just be looking at the findings, and now this kind of a change would mean that the public hasn't been properly notified, and I wouldn't want to be in violation of the Brown Act.
Brown Act?
Or just come.
Well, because if we haven't properly noticed something and people aren't here able to speak on it, we would be in violation. So it's that simple.
And we're being asked to play planning commissioner. I don't think that's our role.
Well, one role that perhaps we're overlooking is that we set policy and the commission carries out policy. It's not the other way around. So I would not be uncomfortable at all with the council giving direction to the commission. I believe that's our job. If, however, there are not 3 votes to take the action that has been suggested, then at a minimum, I would hope that Mr. Nielsen would be able to return to the planning commission without paying any additional fees, and that in good faith, he'd be given the opportunity to offer his compromise to the commission.
I would agree with that.
I see nothing wrong with that.
What are we talking about in the way of fees generally? Pardon me?
$100.
Is Mr. Nielsen willing to do that?
Well, although we can't hear from the public, Jim, I think we could hear from the appellant, could we not?
As to whether he wants to there's 2 choices. Either we can go through with the appeal, make the findings, and take the vote, or he can simply withdraw his appeal and file an amended application back with the planning commission. We can certainly hear from him which way he would like to go.
And then we can, and he's kind of heard the direction here that would not have to.
Okay, Norm, do you want to take a stab at that one? That wasn't one of the options we discussed, so I'm going to let you speak.
Well, I'd like to request that I have an ARC meeting, which I understand is the city planner and 2 of the commissioners. And I'd also like for Lori Oberholzer to not be one of the commissioners. I don't think that she can objectively handle this case. So I'd be willing to drop the appeal and do that sort of thing.
Well, ARC is that
ARC
standard
is for environmental only.
Yeah.
And so you're not asking for the right thing, because if you went to ARC, the only thing they could do is environmental review. The ARC is not like an ARC that you might, other cities sometimes handle it differently, but in our ARC, we only handle environmental issues, and there is an environmental issue.
He would be going back for architectural review.
All he has to do is go back for architectural review to the commission as a whole, all 5 people.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, I'd be willing to do that.
Would that require new noticing and new public hearings at the commission level?
No, there's no public notice other than just the Brown Act on architectural review.
Okay, so he could be on the next, could he make the next planning commission agenda? Can,
No, the one on Thursday is closed
Oh,
and
that's
already
okay.
out, but he
That's
could
right.
make the one on
27th then.
27th.
And what about the fees? How does the council-
And to waive any additional fees.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Am I to believe that we're basically just starting all over again back at the planning commission as I did the first time?
That's what I'm hearing you say. You want to drop your appeal, start over again with an amended application, and the council's indicating they would not charge you an additional fee.
But at least it wouldn't be from scratch, because all you're proposing is to detach the garage.
Uh-huh, okay, all right. Yeah, I'll agree to that.
So
What do you need to do with this?
this would be an amended application.
Amended application with no fee. So I think all we should do is just have a motion from the council that, yes, pursuant to his request, we're going to just drop the appeal, not make a decision either way, and just agree to have it taken back to the planning commission on an amended application with the fee waived.
I would so move.
That's second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Well, appreciate that. That's a,
Thank you, Steve, for meeting with
I think that's a step anyway, and we'll see where we go from here with it. Thank you.
Good. All right. Grand jury response. Review of staff's amended response and possible decision to amend council response.
Well, I'll comment on it.
Okay, Bob.
Yeah, Bill, myself, and Kathy, and Paul each received a letter back from the grand jury indicating that our responses were not satisfactory. They gave the way we supposedly should have responded to them. And we sat down with Jim, and this is, and you do see these, this response going back to them carries all the 4 signatures. The previous one had 3, and Paul filed his separately with a slight difference than what the 3 of us had done before. No reason it's on your agenda is we would anticipate, since you basically followed the same one as staff did previously, that we could anticipate that the city councils will be being returned also. We think this one should meet the requirements or the suggestions that was in the foreman's letter back to each of us individually.
All right. Any discussion on this item?
I just think we just accept their,
Okay. All right.
And refile your response. Say-
If you get a
send me-
request,
send me
that's the
letter.
idea. If you get a letter back to the mayor, that then you would have the mayor would send this one, if that's satisfactory.
Okay.
That's the motion. I will try one more time then to add one simple statement at the end of our response, which is that we agree to advise the planning commission of, that we agree to provide the grand jury with a status report within 6 months of adopting these findings.
where is this going?
He made the motion to do.
Was that a motion or a suggestion?
That was a motion, to add that clause.
On the grand jury response?
Yeah, on our response to the grand jury, to add a clause at the end advising the grand jury that we will provide them with a status report within 6 months of our response.
But correct to assume that we have already filed this council's response,
Yes, you were
and unless we are instructed that it's inadequate, then it's a
We don't
done
have
deal,
anything.
correct?
right. We're just anticipating that you'll get the same response back because yours was filed 1 month later than ours was.
So Steve, what you're asking is, in case we file again, that you would like that added?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually,
At that time.
yeah, well, we could do it now by merely filing our own amendment. I mean, I think it's reasonable to assume that if 4 people got a letter from the grand jury, we'll be the 5th, since we're using exactly the same language. So why don't we just agree to the amended response tonight, with a cover letter saying that based upon the discussion with city staff, we realized that perhaps we were in error in the manner in which we filed our response, and then add a clause that we will provide them with a status report within 6 months.
That's all very well and good, except for, once again, you're asking us to put ourselves in a position of giving ourselves a self-imposed deadline to report something to the jury, which is not necessarily not
Your discussion with
The deadline for status only.
We don't even have a second, so
No, we don't.
we shouldn't probably be discussing this without a second. Doesn't seem to be a second.
Doesn't appear to be.
Okay. All right, moving on.
However, before we move on,
Okay.
I would move that we refile this with this amended version, as Stephen suggested, with the cover letter, anticipating that they are going to. I'm not in favor of the added verbiage. I think it's probably a good idea to refile this, as we probably will get the letter.
Yeah, that shows that we're anticipating a little bit.
You want a second that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. All right. Next item, amendment to Resolution 2002-24, fire tax measure. City attorney will explain minor change to wording of ballot language to meet state elections criteria. Jim?
Yes, as you will recall, a few weeks ago, we approved a proposed ordinance to be placed on the November ballot. After we did that, we had a staff meeting and also talked to the county and realized there's a couple of small changes that should be made. First of all, as to the proposed ordinance, everything would stay exactly the same, except it indicated on the previous version, and unfortunately, my computer, something happened, the language that I wanted you to see didn't come out on the paper that we sent over to you. So the only change that would be on the proposed ordinance is the previous version said that if it was passed, we would start collecting the tax the day that it was passed. But we realized that creates quite a financial problem, and so we wanted to change it to indicate that we'd start collecting the tax January 1st, 2003. Accounting-wise, it makes it a lot easier, a lot simpler for the county to do it, and a lot less charges they're going to give to us. And then the second one is the resolution says the following shall be placed on the ballot, and it basically incorporates all the language of the proposed ordinance. And the county called and said, you can only have 75 words. So basically, what I want to do is, instead of placing the entire language of the ordinance in the resolution, we simply place the language that sets forth the fees and cut the language down to make it 75 words. And we've checked it, it's very easy to do. So we simply place the amounts and the categories, but none of the rest of the boilerplate of the ordinance would go in the ballot itself.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yes. Just
As indicated by the county clerk, if, the other verbiage that was in there, we can always have that included in the city attorney's impartial analysis that will be done, or in the ballot argument. So if there's wording that's being deleted in order to get to the 75 words, there's a way to put it in so that people still know that.
Right.
That's correct.
What about costs to the city to administer this?
Well, there's two costs. There's direct and indirect. The direct is that the county, when they collect the money, they figure out the cost of their staff involved in actually doing the work to collect the money, and they deduct that from the check. So if the check is $32,000 from the voters and their cost is $5,000, they send us a check for $27,000. The indirect cost is that primarily Kathy has to do a lot of work to get the information to the county so that they can go ahead and put all the information on the tax bill to all the various people in Nevada City.
All the properties and everything.
Right.
And all the-
So she has to spend a long time. It doesn't show up in any bill, but obviously she has less time to put on other matters. So we're trying to save both the direct cost and the indirect cost, because Kathy would have to do it twice, potentially, the way the other wording was done.
Isn't there a way to avoid the direct costs? Isn't there a way for us to somehow collect this money without paying the county $5,000 or $6,000?
I just picked a number. I don't know if that's what we charge, but
No, I don't think there is.
we'd have to send out our own bills.
Amount that the county
Yeah,
charges
they've
us.
got the
Well,
machine
Jim
already
used-
built.
Jim used in his example that it was $5,000. In preparation of the budget, you show the county's total collection fee as a separate line item, and for collecting all of our taxes, including the current parcel tax for the fire tax, we're paying the county about, this past year, about $16,000 to collect all of our taxes, including that one. You couldn't even touch it for what the county does. I don't even know, I have no idea how the procedure would even be done.
Okay.
Thank you.
And since they're already collecting a fire tax for us, the fact that that fire tax increases means that their fees would increase theoretically?
There's going to be some, because the old tax said all the money is going to be used for equipment only. And this one, the way it's worded, is half is for equipment and half is for personnel. So it has to be billed separately on the second one, for accounting purposes. It can be added on, but
That's
they've
the
got to do internal work to clarify who paid what.
That's
for
what creates all
purpose.
the extra work, even for the city.
Well, I would move to approve amendment to Resolution 2002-24.
Second. I will vote no again for the reason previously stated, which is I think this should be a public safety tax, not a fire tax.
All those in favor?
Aye. No.
And on to new business. Kim James, request to discuss Chamber of Commerce Summer Nights event and council review of events allowed on streets. Do we need anything from you, Jim, or should we just let her talk?
No, I think this is her item, just have her present it.
Okay. Open to public comment.
Kim James, 14668 Applewood Lane. On May 28th, I learned that the Chamber was putting on for the Hot Summer Nights a Hot Bodies contest, which I found offensive to the city's image. So I came to the council meeting and just mentioned it. The Chamber is very generous and invited me to their committee meeting. Very unclear with what they were planning, even as a group, whether it was a bodybuilding thing or a weightlifting thing, and how all the details of that. But and most of them showed that they were unclear about what was being proposed, although they had someone on their behalf going through town promoting it. And that's how I found out, purely by accident, that this was even going to happen. So I found out today from Kathy Whittlesey that it's no longer on the menu, so that's off. My concern is now and still, how do we know that something like this couldn't come up again? So we can have conversations like this before the events instead of after something happens that we're a little ashamed of. That's my view on it. Because I know that the city council does not control the chamber, but who allows street closures and for what reason?
Well, we do allow street closures, and they are usually ongoing events that we're very well aware of. They always have minor changes to them, and we don't micromanage them. We really believe in the quality of the people at the Chamber of Commerce. And this isn't after the fact. The event hasn't happened yet, so we didn't find out about it afterwards. It is a small town, and things do get spread around before they're fully consummated or thought out, and that can sometimes create its own problems, being a small town. And it's one of the great things about it is because people hear about it and you get to have input. So I don't think it's been the city's policy to just let it run willy-nilly. Steve's worked with them closely for years and years, and could probably speak to the way the chamber comes up with these things and looks at these proposals. And that's the checks and balances that I see, including having you hear about it and being invited to one of their committee meetings. So,
Yeah, since we're not going to vote on it, because I don't participate on votes on events affecting the Chamber of Commerce. I have an economic conflict of interest, Kim, so I would just sit normally. But since we're not going to vote, a suggestion would be, you're wondering how to keep yourself appraised of what's happening. I would suggest that you ask the commission to make you their delegate and go to the monthly Chamber of Commerce board meetings where you will learn things as quickly as the board members learn them. Those meetings are open to all members of the chamber, and I believe the Theater Commission is a member of the chamber, so have every right to go to the President of the Chamber sitting here tonight. I'm sure he'd be happy to affirm that. As a chamber member, you have every right to go to their meetings and sit and learn things as quickly as they learn them.
But the council is comfortable with things being planned on that level that that will affect the city's image and economic effects as well, that the council's happy with things being decided on behalf of Nevada City on their own?
I had the honor this past January, Kim, of attending the 100th anniversary of the Nevada City Chamber of Commerce, and I think that they have been Nevada City's promotional agency for 100 years and have done one hell of a job.
I agree.
And I think David summarized things pretty well. When we begin to tell the Chamber of Commerce what to do, we might as well become the Chamber of Commerce. They do a fine job. They've been a great promotional agency for this community for 100 years, and with any luck, they'll promote this town for the next 100 years. And I really think that the Chamber Board is no more of a closed meeting than a City Council meeting. You can just walk right in, sit down, and when an item comes up on the agenda, I say, you'll know quicker than anybody else in Nevada City.
I heard Kathy Whittlesey on the radio discussing this, and as I heard her saying that they were going to change their thoughts on this, I said to her, thank you, Kim. You've done a nice job. It's a nice thing about our community when people feel that something is not quite the way they should be. They're free to speak up, and they do come and speak up, and they write letters expressing their thoughts, and that's how it all kind of works, and it's really, really good. And I appreciate what you've done.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
If it wasn't for issues like this, the union wouldn't be able to use the word smarmy in their editorial very often, I don't think.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
You don't want to know.
Smarmy. It's the Smurfs. I think it was the Smurfs. Yeah. Okay. All right, the next item, Maureen Mitchell, request to make Railroad Avenue one-way.
Hello. I am here to sort of run this by you. I don't know if I need to be at the Department of Transportation, so I'm just ignorant, but I was told to present it. I don't know if it's, I've been living off 131 Martin Street. First of all, my property runs along Railroad Avenue, and that's by Northern Queen there. And part of it's paved and part of it's not. I'm wondering if there is a feasibility of having it go one way. I say that because of the increased traffic in the area for the last 3 years, and also the dirt section is really just room for one car, but people have to pull over for the other to get by. So I've been living off from Railroad Avenue for 24 years, so I've seen a lot of change. The other concern that I have is safety concern with, I say probably 20% follow the traffic, the speed limit traffic. So I'm wondering if you would give some consideration, if this is possible for a one-way situation. Sort of close to my heart avenue, Railroad Avenue is.
Well, every time I've gone up there, Maureen, I've wondered why it wasn't one way to begin with.
Thank you very much.
But part of it is that there's a traffic circulation issue involved, and it's a long ways around without Railroad Avenue. I don't know that we have a standing committee, David, that addresses streets and roads. I'm not a...
No, but, we have, when 2 years ago, when we were having the project, the NID project and stuff, and you made a proposal, and we looked at that of just overall the different streets that are impacted in different ways, and perhaps we should have one and look at this. This is something that would be under the purview of, I would imagine, our police chief.
Police chief.
Yep.
It's totally going to be...
Whatever you do, you would have the police chief involved.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And the police chief is the one who makes these decisions, and as Steve pointed out, this is a thoroughfare for that part of town that if, there are other solutions. There are other solutions that possibly might be in the future, I don't know, far, near, or in between, things like that. As the town grows, they get improved or added on to, things like that. So I don't know, but...
So am I at the wrong place?
No. You're at the right place, but...
I don't know how this works. I'm very ignorant.
It's not something we make a decision right now, and it may be that there would be no decision in particular made in any right away. I mean, it's something that a lot of things have to be looked at, and it has to get in line with all the things that are already being looked at.
Well, David, why don't you and I reconstitute our committee of a couple of years ago and meet with the police chief and perhaps the city engineer, discuss traffic circulation, public safety, road width, perhaps involve the fire chief, because I know that there's certainly a public safety issue involved in the narrow width of that road, trying to get fire trucks up and down it, and get back to Maureen soon with some kind of response other than thanks for coming.
So, after all of that, who is the contact person that I would call?
Oh, we'll get in touch with you. Well, at some point, we'll...
You don't know my phone number. So, I feel very strongly about this. So it's like, 6 months later,
No, it won't be that long, Maureen. Won't be that long. In fact, your phone number is down in your
it is? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So I should be hearing from you within the month?
You'll be hearing from us this summer.
This summer? What month in the summer?
Hey, you'll be hearing from us. Are you still teaching? You retired? Oh, I was going to say, well, you can hear from us before school starts. Well, we can do that. I mean, that's 60 days.
Can you be specific?
Well,
I think we can.
No,
Steve,
we can't.
We really can't.
No.
We really can't.
All
but,
right.
Okay,
But
Steve.
you've got a commitment from David and myself, and we'll get with the appropriate staff, and we'll get back to you. It'll certainly be this summer. But
All right, I appreciate that much.
Wouldn't want to promise you 15 days, 30 days.
Steve, well, let's let the rest of the council discuss this too. I mean, I'd love to just you and I make a decision, but there's a full table.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, whatever committee report we've got, we'd be bringing it back here anyway. And
I think you need to be back to the council before you back to Mrs. Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any other council members that would want to be part of this? I mean, other than myself and Steve, or other than myself or Steve?
I would suggest that I might be a pretty good service on such a committee, because I do have a pretty good, solid background on transportation.
Why don't two of you do it then? That's fine. See how I got out of that, Maureen?
No, you didn't.
It's Connolly and myself. I see.
I was going to say that I've got plenty on my plate as mayor.
Who doesn't?
And
Take a number and wait.
take a number and wait, so I'm not trying to...
Okay, it'll be Connolly and myself, Maureen.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
All right. Okay, the Human Endeavor Resource Entity here, request for final, is that withdrawn for right now? Okay, then continue. Request by Mello Pello to name street located off Chief Kelly Drive, Pello Lane.
Milo Pello.
Milo.
Milo.
The reason this is on your agenda, Milo wrote, no, 1L. That's how he signed it. Milo Pello kind of just dropped a letter on my desk saying, I'm ordering a sign saying Pello Lane, and he has some property right off Chief Kelly Drive. You're aware of where his little piece of property is, and the city fixed a little, as part of him giving some property to do Chief Kelly, we put a drive down to his property. The council is, under our ordinance, the council has to make decisions on street names. Normally you get 3 submitted to you, you choose which one you want, or something like that. So I just thought I better put it on the agenda so you can either ratify the name Pello Lane and hang it up, or ask him to come up with something else. But
Is this actually a city street? I mean, we have accepted it and all that entails, or is this just
I'm not sure if it was actually is a city street or not. Was it ever accepted, or?
How long is it?
Less.
This is somewhat of a
Sign up.
Couple hundred
We
feet,
have to
isn't it? Couple hundred feet to 300 feet.
But if he hangs
It's
the
really a
sign up-
driveway, like,
Well, if it's not a street, how can we name it?
We name a lot of streets that we don't accept.
Lot of-
What is the risk of naming another street that we're not going to accept?
There's no risk, obviously.
We end up
He
with
may put his
another
own sign up, I don't know, but.
We got more than one?
Well, I would move that we accept the request by Milo Pello.
Well, I'd like to know first, what is the status of that, Bill, before we start naming it?
what is the status of it? It's a
Well,
private
status
street.
It's
It's a
a
private
road,
driveway to his one piece of property.
and could it ultimately be to additional property? Is really the city in a position of doing anything with it, realistically?
It's a driveway to his single property. The next property is bordered by the Elk Club, which has their entrance on Highway 49. There will
Would it
be
be any difference in, for instance, Tom putting a sign on his driveway saying Tom's driveway?
I guess he could. Guess he could. I don't know.
That's my,
I don't think the city has any jurisdiction other than
Yeah.
that.
if you want to name your driveway, you should name your driveway,
Well,
but
maybe the appropriate response to Mr.
Map or something. I think we ought to have a little bit more if we're going to name it, no why.
I didn't even
Well, I
know.
think if he's going to hang up a sign that's calling it a street or a lane or anything, it'll end up on a map somewhere at some point.
Well, I think
And the
Kathy's
fire
right.
department's
Start
going to be looking at it,
becoming,
911 will be
where-
asking me why I didn't send it to him, so we at least need to look at this a little bit further before, that's all I put it on for, is
Kathy,
before a sign gets hung up.
maybe we ought to have a little, and maybe we should have a sketch that the council can look at and know what it is, we're naming, what length, and et cetera.
I've got a map of it. I can have that in the next council.
What is that
And
property
he's
Milo zone
he's
right now?
zoned multifamily, so he could
Yeah,
have
it could be.
15 or 20 houses
Yeah,
down
so
there.
it could be a real street serving other homes.
It certainly could have a name. I don't say that, but it serves his lot and his lot only forever. That's it.
Okay, I would move that this item be tabled for 2 weeks in order to give staff appropriate time
I'll
to
get that.
research it, and that Mr. Pello be notified to, if he could please wait 2 more weeks, and we'll have an answer for him.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Agreement for the fiscal year 2002-2003 state mandated cost recovery from a company called Centration. Burl?
Well, this memo that was prepared to the council, and there's a proposal from Centration. The city previously entered into agreement with this firm where on the mandated costs, it's with the limitations, one, of staff, and two, really of knowledge on what are the mandated. These firms know exactly how to file for various cities, and they file for probably various firms are out there filing for numerous, and I started to say hundreds, but they may well file various types of paperwork for hundreds of cities. The issue is that in the past, they collected their money. When the city received its money, it was sort of, you file the mandated, it is mandated, the state must pay. and therefore the checks followed, and the city in turn paid the firm. Now, with the governor's budget, the state has made it very clear in the budget that the mandated costs, while there'll still be an encumbrance on the state of California, they'll be delayed for approximately 2 years. So this firm is saying there is no way that we can do the paperwork for you and wait 2 years because our cash flow goes to zero. So the request is that they file them. The state sooner or later must pay them, and that they be paid their amount that they would have received once they file valid claims. So they're asking to be paid up front rather than being paid at the rear.
So we would be paying that.
We would pay at this time knowing that...
We would get our money sooner or later.
Right. I did ask the gentleman at the time that he talked to Kathy and I on speakerphone, since how many calls that he made in recent day or two, because he said they were simply going to discontinue a number of their employees, and he said he talked to 30 cities, and 29 of them had agreed, at least verbally, in principle, because most cities don't have the staff nor the time to go through the paperwork, whereas they probably got it all in a word processor and simply change the names and collect the information from the individual cities to know what the total amount that they are going to file on behalf of those various cities. So if they file a claim on behalf of the city, they would know what their percentage is per the agreement, and we would pay them based on them filing. And based on our past experience with them, we think that they're reliable and their claims will be ultimately honored in the amount that they file them for.
And would that's what I was going to ask, maybe nothing's 100%, but if they file a claim, is it at least 99% that we're going to be awarded that money?
I think it's 99. I think it's 100%. The courts have ruled the state will pay these mandated costs. The state at this time simply hasn't the money. The League of California Cities is careful. This is one of the issues they're monitoring the state on, and they haven't decided whether it's 2-year delay or 1-year delay. They'll probably try to delay as long as they can, but it's clear if we don't file, it's certainly, and if the various cities up and down the state say, gee, we don't want to do that, it sort of takes the wind out of the sails of the cities as far as putting weight on the state to say, pay these fees. Just because you don't know how to run the state of California, we would like to get paid what you told us we're supposed to do, and you're supposed to backfill that money.
I would move to support staff's recommendation and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Item 6, under new business, amended agreement, Zion Street Corporation yard lease, reassignment of Premier Plumbing to D&D Supply Incorporated.
They're simply changing their ownership. They're part of the owners of currently a Premier are joined with this other company, and apparently the D&D Supply is going to be the successor, but so they're asking that they operate under the same terms as the previous lease, and we have received an insurance certificate in the amount of $1 million.
I move the mayor be authorized to sign the amended agreement.
Second.
All the discussion. So essentially, the current lease that we have, to amend it, we would be going through and everywhere where it says Premier, it would say D&D. But the dates would be the same?
Dates, everything stays. Other than that, everything stays exactly the same.
And the operation is the same?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, number 7, the memorandum of understanding, Deer Creek Coordinated Resource Management Plan, John Vanderveen, representative, and then there's a copy of letter of support, grant application filed 6502. I see John here.
Well, I think it's really just more that the mayor is, or you've already, I believe, signed the letter, haven't you?
Yeah, I think we did this.
We agreed to support the concept. We did not yet agree to support the specific
This
application.
is a formal application. It's for the Friends of Deer Creek. It's for the work to be done in Pioneer
This is
Park.
different. No, this is a little different.
No, this is what I thought this is what we had.
Well, the concept proposal plan for the application for the grant monies has gone out. And the mayor sent a letter because because council is sort of partners with Friends of Deer Creek. And it's for $580,000, I believe. But then John submitted saying he would be present at the council meeting. I don't know.
That should be continued.
This memorandum of understanding, which is for something different, which is called a coordinated resource management plan, and I really don't know any of the particulars on it.
You, Bill?
What I know about it is, and I don't know whether this will help, I'll tell you what I know about it. You guys agreed in concept for work to be done in Pioneer Park by the Friends of Deer Creek. They submitted the preliminary application. There was like 200 applications submitted in the state of California. The Nevada City came in number 2. Now, what you have to do is you got to take this application and go for the formal funding, and that's what he's doing. And he's got to have the city's good graces in order to do that. He can't do that because it's city property, city-related project. That's the way I understand it. Is that right, Kathy?
Well,
That's it for the funding, but the MOU is a different.
It's undated and unsigned, so I assume it hasn't gone out yet.
I think this whole item should be continued to the next meeting to have representatives from the...
Well, there's only one representative.
I was referring to the other, I didn't know this was...
The whole package. We continue to our next meeting.
Okay, so it's kind of a two-stage thing, and we...
Until such time as representatives of the...
Yeah, we did agree in concept. I certainly support it in concept. I had some specific questions about the application, but we certainly support the concept.
Okay, so...
Yes, there's a second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, proposal to name city property at Sacramento Street and Adams, Penzance Park, and to plant bulbs and place sign.
I will abstain from this item. I do have a apparent conflict.
Did we have 3 names submitted on this, by the way?
On Penzance Park?
There's hope.
Bodman Park, Penzance Park.
No, Bodman Park has to be over in Grass Valley. That's the wrong city.
Park.
Vern Taylor and I were discussing this while I was over in Penzance recently. I picked up a brochure with flowers. They're very into flowers and bulbs, and thought this would be nice. In Bodman, they had actually named a park or an area for Grass Valley, and I thought it would be nice if we had something in Nevada City. So as Vern and I talked about it, we thought that we do own the property at the corner of Adams and Sacramento and Prospect, and there's a little rock bench there now. This wouldn't be a high-maintenance grass and all that. It would just be 1 or 2 areas someone could sit on a rock, and some bulbs that would bloom in spring. And a group of people have said that they would like to help with the maintenance and planting them. Vern has an Eagle Scout that he would like to have as a part of his Eagle Scout Award project, and we have an offer for some funding to purchase the bulbs from an organization in town that, because their members are not as mobile as they'd like to be anymore, they're getting on in years, but they have money that they would like to put into it, but they can't really put any elbow grease into planting the bulbs and stuff. Anyway, it's a proposal we thought would be nice.
Well, I would move to implement the proposal as submitted, naming the property at Sacramento and Adams Street, Penzance Park, to the planting of bulbs and the placing of the sign and the appropriate marker to the Callaway family.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
David, as Kathy was talking about it, I was thinking that City Manager Robinson will now have much time on his hands.
Oh, he might like to plant.
He might like to be the planter of the bulbs there at...
We'll get him a straw hat and a wheelbarrow.
Engineer's house.
Well, he could help plant them for a while, and then when he feels like he's moved over to the other side, wants to just give the money, then that's
I
fine
didn't mean
too.
to keep us off track. I just couldn't resist that.
Did we,
Only question.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And any announcements from the table here?
We have one.
Let's see, I think we have one. Okay. There we go. We have an announcement from the City of Nevada City announcing recognizing the final City Council meeting for City Manager Burl P. Robinson Jr. Whereas in the spring of 1964, a youthful Burl P. Robinson Jr. attained the high office of City Councilman in his community of birth, then served as the council table for the next 14 months. And whereas on June 18, 1965, Burl resigned as a member of the council, applied for the job of city manager, and 3 days later, to no one's surprise, was named to the town's top administrative post. Although it was, admittedly, a 3-1 split vote. And whereas Burl immediately went to work juggling yearly budgets and occasionally resorting to sleight of hand, but always legal, accounting practices that annually bewildered city auditors and amazed the council. And whereas, through Burl's diligence and perseverance, a 1965 Nevada city that was teetering on the verge of bankruptcy has emerged as a financially solvent municipality with a bright future and...
Still teetering.
Still teetering.
It's teetering. And whereas, in recognition of his 37-year career, a dinner is being held Wednesday, June 12, 2002, at the Elks Lodge in Nevada City, at which time Burl's accomplishments will likely be embellished even further, and more tall tales will be added to his existing legacy. And whereas tonight, Monday, June 10th, 2002, Burl P. Robinson Jr. has completed his final meeting at the council table in his capacity as city manager of Nevada City. Now, therefore, be it announced that the City Council of Nevada City, in a rare moment of fellowship and unanimity, boy, that's a hard one there, at least we got that unanimous, encourages everyone now assembled in the Burl P. Robinson Community Hall to stand and join with 3 resounding cries of hip, hip, hooray in honor of a man who has brought great distinction both to his profession and his community.
We need Bud Baker here.
There you go. And just for all those to see what you got in front of you. There you go. There you go, Burl.
David, could I just, having learned to crunch numbers from the best number cruncher around, I did a little bit of quick calculations and figured that if he attended 32 meetings a month for 37 years, and then you throw in the extra council meetings that came up every once in a while, that puts him at, and I added only 3 a year, and sometimes there's way more than that, especially during the general plan days and all that. Burl has attended over 1,125 city council meetings, and then you throw in the 15 or 20 years of attending planning commission meetings every twice a month. We don't even want to start thinking about the number of meetings
He's got
that
Michael
he's
Jordan beat all to heck.
attended, and it doesn't even touch all the other meetings like finance committee meetings and
So is he going to go to meetings anonymous to be able to know when he doesn't have meetings?
There you go.
But I doubt there are very many people that have gone to almost 1,500 plus city council and planning commission meetings in Nevada City. So
But isn't that why
I
he
think
gets
it's a
paid the
record
big
to be
bucks?
proud of.
Eat your heart out, Cal Ripken.
Well, thank you very much. It's all I can say is that I'm starting, the next chapter of my life, and certainly Wednesday night I'll hopefully have some embellishment on my thoughts about the city, but it is unquestionably have been a pleasure to work for the city of Nevada City. I don't think anyone questions that I have a great love for this community, and I've tried my very best to do a good job. Little did I know back when I took this job that I would be here 37 years. I thought a year or two and I'd move on. But time goes by fast when you're having fun, huh?
Yeah, right.
So thank everybody very much.
Thank you.
Do we peel this off of here, or does he actually get the wood plaque?
I think we'll give him the whole thing. Yeah, I think 37 years, it's not quite a gold watch, but, we'll get it gold-plated for him.
Move to adjourn to executive session.
Okay.
And it's possible we will have an announcement.
It's possible, yeah.